Why is butt so big? Huh? Why is butt so big? Why is butt so big?
Ruthlessness is mercy.
Okay, so if you're into Rivals at all, you might have seen that in the last few days they released our first gameplay look at Daredevil. And with that, they also shared our first like proper look at the Daredevil design. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and redesign it. Come. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the design, but we'll talk about that later on. Thing that matters to me right now is I got some history with the Daredevil Rivals design. About a year ago-ish, not too long after the game launch, I decided to, thought it would be cool to study the way they do the designs because they're very fun and angular and they itch my brain in the right spot. It ended up being so much harder than I thought. I was not prepared to like get a character out first try. That art style was very cool, but it's also very cool because it's complicated. It's like super high octane and very detailed and has a lot of stuff going on. And that's like, that makes it cool, but also you're gonna spend hours and hours looking at it in lobby, so it's made to like entertain you, always there's always stuff to look at, but that also means it's hard as fuck to replicate. It's a lot of detail, and if you want to get every detail looking as like official as you can, you're gonna be grinding to try and make it look good, And like the hardness, the difficulty of drawing this style, it goes from like art style to art style. Personally, like there are people they're gonna get a pretty solid like emulation of like what the style looks like just by well, no, that would be too straightforward. My bunky brain don't let me do the easy thing. Also, it's not my process, it's not how I paint using modifier layers. You rarely ever gonna see me getting a texture brush and like going to town properly. It's always just selection 2, airbrush. Okay, super quick stop just for me to explain my painting process. Block the shape layer, add the shadows with the multiply layer, keep adding shadows with more multiply layers, repeat until good. Then occlusion with more multiply layers. Then you add all these different lights using like add and overlay and color burn and etc. And then repeat for every shape until done. Yay, you are an artist. Okay, so hopefully looking at this process and this art style, you might see how this could be like very time consuming for me. Okay, so first thing I tried to do in studying the rival style was touching up Star-Lord, because I was maining him when the game launched and I wasn't sure if I was gonna be playing the game for a long time, so I didn't want to buy any skins, and I was playing a lot, so I was just looking at that skin for so long and noticing every tiny little thing that bugged me. And it's not even like big things, it's just the smallest tiny little things. And like, what can I do? Those started, annoying me. Why so many abs? Why tiny nose? Why hexagon and then circle? Why small piece of loose fabric above knees? And I grabbed my Gen Z pen and my Gen Z paper, and I went to town on like autistic fixing it. Okay, so quick pause to watch me autistic fix it. Turns out it doesn't really matter if you set your canvas to lossless on Procreate. Sorry guys, this is my first time doing this. I know quality sucks. If you rescale your canvas, it's like set to the original size, and I did it a bunch on this one, so it's all crunchy. Worst part is, this is all like one go. This is single canvas for all the Rivals like redraws I did, so they all kind of suck. I'm gonna try and pull some miracles here to make it like presentable. But yeah, from here on out, I'm mostly gonna show you images instead of processes because of this. And don't worry, next time I'm gonna remember to like actually record my screen. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think it's like And I think that if you stumbled upon it, you would not know it's like not official art. I also think you would not know it's like edited at all. I did way too little with it. I did fix all my pet peeves, but they were so small. They were so like such tiny little things that like it is good. It's good. I think I did a good job. It's also like like a non-problem. It's anyways. Here's like a before and after, just so you can notice everything there's different about it. Uh, thanks. That got me kind of confident that I could do like bigger things, and that maybe I could like redesign a whole character. You know, fix like an inexcusably bad design. Ladies and gentlemen, I tried to fix Captain America's Rivals design, which in my opinion is like the worst base look in the game, rivaling Wolverine, which is also ridiculously bad. But no, I don't think there's anything to excuse on this design. I just hate it all throughout, like from the body proportions, even though he's a tank, to like, what the fuck is that? His Captain America. Why? And yeah, as you might have expected, it took forever. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of time for the amount of stuff I actually did on it. As soon as I started drawing, I started noticing that, like, I didn't like anything about it, so I would be changing almost everything. That meant, like, drawing shit from scratch. I thought it was just gonna be, like, paint overs and fixes. In the Star-Lord design, I could, like, cut out some sections of textures, like trying to pull it together to create a base texture that looks like Rivals, maybe change the colors and started from that. In the Captain America one, even though I could still do it in certain parts, like the boots weren't a big deal. There were like parts of it that I just drew from scratch. Okay, so kind of a similar process. First I traced the shapes of the actual character body proportions so I could start drawing on top of it the changes I want to make. I basically changed the entire chest piece, which I think ended up being the biggest change in design when you look at it from afar. I copy and pasted the face, and then I started fitting some of the similar shapes of the original still into my design and reshaping them into my sketch. So I could have like a base for it, like the eyebrows, etc. At this point, I realized I was gonna change just what was necessary on the anatomy, so I could then, after the fact, change it more drastically with the liquefy to make it make sense. You know, I just changed what was necessary now, so I had more like leeway later on. Also, I love that I incorporated the leather in it as well, because it doesn't take away from the futuristic look, and it makes it feel more like Captain America in my opinion. Because I don't want to make this look like a Captain America's skin for the game, I just want to do what I think is a better base look for him that still like respects the game's lore. You know, it's still futuristic Cap, but like the color blocking leads to a more classic Captain America look with a like more traditional like Captain America superhero body proportions that still look like a tank. And yeah, it looks good. In my opinion, this is like a better base look for Cap than what we've gotten in the game, and it does look very much like a proper Marvel Rivals style. If I looked at it in the wild, I think I would have thought it was just like a skin. And this time you can see the changes. It's still like not obvious. I didn't do like big color changes, and you know, you can see it's the same guy, but I'm happy with it. I did manage to change the build a little bit, make him less bulky on top. Yeah, I took the man boobs away a little bit, but worth it. Looks less like the Rob Liefeld cover, which always good in my opinion. No, I cannot excuse that. The only bad thing that came out of this is that it got me too confident, way too confident. I was sure I could do a character from scratch. I could not. Now that I couldn't make it look right, I was wrong about the fact that I could make it in less than like 60 hours. I definitely didn't have enough like training in this style to pull it off like fully. I mean, maybe I can do it, but it's just hell, man. Second guessing every stroke to make sure it fits in the style because I don't have the right reference like right there. because I'm not painting over anything. I'm just painting, you know, making sure the proportions match kind of sucked, making sure the right amount of detail per area was working. It was just crazy work, so after this many hours on canvas, I just kind of gave up, you know. I just started working on something else, and the design just, you know, was left there. And in the back of my mind, I was like, sure that when the character is about to drop, I'll feel it, you know. I'll hear about the leaks, and people are gonna start like rumoring about it, and I'm gonna see people on Twitter speculating that he's coming out for sure, and I'll be able to, you know, caught up to it, finish it up in time to farm that sweet Twitter engagement. And no, it was just there, the corner of the 4th season splash art. As soon as you open the game, you see Daredevil there in the corner. Too late, I guess. Not really, if you're watching this video. That means I still farmed something out of it. And yeah, here we are about a year later. I haven't looked at my Daredevil design in a long ass time. I don't even quite remember what I was doing with it. I'm gonna try and save it if it was bad, make sure it looks as good as I can. I'm not gonna use the final design as like reference. I've seen it, obviously, it's like right here, but I'm not trying to copy any of it because I think that wouldn't be fair. You know, that's like hindsight, and I'm trying to avoid that, and even though it's like inevitable. After I'm done with my design, I'm gonna try and fix everything I have a problem with. The proper Rivals design might be another Star-Lord situation, or I maybe do something good with it. We'll see. Now, let's go to the iPad. Okay, so after an unsettling amount of time talking about a story that ultimately leads nowhere important, we're finally at the point where I left this drawing about a year ago, and I'm pretty happy with it. Honestly, I kind of like it. I don't know, I think I was in a good headspace. I have my problems with it, but we're gonna talk about it. I'm pretty sure I was watching the Netflix show when I was drawing this, because I kind of was, you know, implementing stuff I liked from that suit into this one, like the gloves and the horns, the way they do the horns. And the face is very Charlie Coxy, but I don't hate it. I think it suits him. The only thing I'm not a fan of, for sure, is the pose. I feel like it's a good enough character design pose, but it's not a good Marvel Rivals still pose. I don't think there's any character in-game that has its main still be like such a stiff pose that lacks like perspective. If you see, the feet are very like parallel, and I like usually the stills in Rivals have like you know, but yeah, nothing too bad, I don't think. Around the point where I moved to rendering the legs is when I caught up to it. It's the more recent stuff. And I immediately noticed that I'm more loose with my hand for sure. Maybe it's the amount of time away from the canvas or the rush to try to get this video out. But I definitely feel more free with it. Like, I feel my hand looser compared to the stuff I was doing before. And ultimately, I think it's beneficial to the drawing and for my ability to get the video out. But it does look alright to me. Like, there are stills in the game, like Wolverines and maybe Rockets a little bit, that are way like looser than others, and you can say that that's like art style breaking, but it's not really. It just gives me more leeway to like experiment. I feel like this is a very inviting style to experiment with different stuff. Like, it's a style where both the Star-Lord still that is very tight can fit right beside the Wolverine one, which is very loose and has a bunch of scribbles on it. And like both seem like they came from the same game. So it's chill. To be honest, because the design was like set, I didn't worry about it too much. If you don't like it, it's Matt from a year ago's fault. But I was worrying about the rendering because I I wanted to, by the end of this video, be able to, pull up a piece of a drawing that looks pretty much in the Rival style relatively quickly, without having to struggle like I was a year ago. And I feel like I did that really well. The hardest part was for sure the planar areas, like the exposed shoulder or the thighs are very plain, and you just have to nail the style. But I'm pretty sure I put it off. Okay, so this is it. We're done. Before I show it to you, let me address a couple things. First, this is a design for a game, and a design that's usually seen from the back, but we don't have stills for the backs of characters, and I was not gonna, draw 2 stills from scratch just so I could design the back. But with that said, what I could worry about was the fact that the horns were too small. They were inside the silhouette, and I wanted to push them out, so I did that with the horns and a couple other things. I've extruded them a little bit so they would clip out of the silhouette. Also, I felt like the color blockage was a little bit too simple for Rivals. It's not the stuff they usually do. They break it up a little bit more, I feel like. And I passed the design around to a couple friends of mine, and Mateus specifically, one of my friends, came in clutch. Follow him on Twitter, and he gave me a couple really nice suggestions to spread it out a little bit more. I took those, and they were worth it. It does look much more diverse, like more interesting to look at. And lastly, just so you know, after I was done with the painting and the fixes, I spent a hell of a time trying to fix that pose as best as I could and fix the perspective and the proportions, because when I looked at it side by side with other characters, I felt like maybe the head was a little bit too big, the fist, it was the proportions I usually do for my drawings, and I wanted to make sure it fits the game, Okay, so finally, without further ado, here's what Marvel Rivals says Daredevil would have looked like if it was made by me. Okay, were I to design him today, I might have done a lot of things differently with the suit, but given what I had in my mind at the time and the effort I put in, I'm really proud of it. I think it looks awesome. It is more of a gym clothes Daredevil than what the game did, though at some point in the sketch, I did thought of giving him more of like a oriental vibe, and I ended up pulling it back and going for more like a streetwear, athletic wear thing that I think worked out pretty well for what it is, so I'm happy. I love the micro stripe texture on the belt. I love how he did the metals. I love how he lights up. The only thing from the sketch I wish I had kept was the pointier shoulder pads, and you see why in a sec. So now that we lived with this design for a while, I want to move on to my fix to the actual Daredevil design they have in Rivals. I don't really like the word fix, but it's trendy, and it is a paint over of a pre-existing design. So, how should I call it? I'm just trying to make him more like what I expected from Daredevil in the game, and honestly, a little bit cooler, okay? I think this guy's kind of a lame-o. Okay, so my 3 biggest annoyances and, most immediate thoughts were, let's remove these men's balls out, let's give him, a slimmer cut, and for the love of God, someone give him a jaw guard. Because that exposed neck and jaw is gnarly to me. I really don't like it. So I cut up the dude's members apart to reposition them and reshape him. I did remove the dude's balls, and there you go. Now I can start going back to the good old process, working on it, opacity down, let's sketch on white the fixes I want to do. One thing I really don't like is the balance of black to red. It's almost 50-50, so I decided to use this planar shape he has on his vesty thingy and copy that style of a fluid shape in other parts of his suit, so I could implement more red through it and still make it look right, So I've added it to the tights, the boots, the inner forearm, and I use it to cut down on those black stripes that run through his torso that I think were making him look even more wide. And that also gave me the opportunity to do one of those spirally thingies, which I think looks really good. Also, I really dislike how they gave him grill cook gloves. It looks so weird to me. So to make it more superhero-y, I guess, I extended the forearm guards to the knuckles, which also had the benefit to add a lot of red, which was much needed for this design. And then to implement the same pattern of red, black stripe, red to the design, I did the same thing on the boots, which ended up being one of my favorite parts of the design. And the last touch that I feel like really ties it all up is adding the same design thing, the same circle pattern they did for the logo that kind of mimics how he views the world in the comics, to some of the other planar areas to add that extra oomph, you know? Okay, so here we are again, and this is how I would change the Rivals design for the better. I loved how this one turned out. I feel like I managed to implement much more of my modern sensibilities into it. Just because it was more modern, I did this one fully recently. I did this one like 2 nights ago, I think. I love the change from the gold to the silver. I feel like implementing so many buckles to a suit that already had so many stripes was like a very good way to implement the secondary color into the suit without just splashing it with random golden dots. The new build, to me, is one of the most important things because I feel like it makes him look so much more like Daredevil. And the addition of the slightest amount of orange to the fire and the ice make it pop so much more instead of blending with the pinkish hue of the red parts of the suit. Overall, to me, is so much more Daredevil-y, and I feel like I would be much more pleased to play Daredevil if this was his base look. Like, at least to me, it's mission accomplished. I know this is like an inherently like divisive subject because it's all personal opinion. I feel like the changes I made are for the better. Maybe some people won't, but I hope you can take something from it if you don't like it, even if it's just like a thought experiment. Hell, try this style. It's very hard to do, but it's also very rewarding, and it's very satisfying when you feel like you accomplished it. Give it a go, I don't know. So there you go, guys. These are all the characters I touched up through the course of the video, and this is how they all turned out. I feel like it's a net positive. I hope you do as well. I'm really proud of it. It is my first video, but it's also a video that I've technically been working on for a year because those are old designs. So in a possible future video, I wouldn't expect myself to be drawing as much. But I don't know. One good news I have before I go is the last design, the one I just showed you, was the least time consuming one, and I feel like it had much more changes than others. So I did learn something. Does it have a correlation with the fact that my ADHD meds increased? Maybe, but who knows? Maybe I just gotten better. I hate when YouTube videos end abruptly.